Have you ever argued with someone about God and then noticed that even if you won the argument, your heart still felt tense? And have you ever wondered why some people become kinder and calmer without ever settling the God question in a final way? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to explore a question that sounds like a battlefield topic, but is actually a mirror for your mind. God versus no God. Does it matter in Buddhism? The surprise is that Buddhism does not begin where most debates begin. It does not begin with forcing you to sign a metaphysical contract. It begins with your direct experience of suffering and the way your mind creates or ends that suffering. That does not mean Buddhism has nothing to say about gods. It means Buddhism treats the God question differently than many people expect. Two ideas will guide our journey. First, Buddhism is less interested in whether you can win an argument about the ultimate and more interested in whether you can uproot greed, hatred, and delusion in your own heart. Second, the God question often hides a deeper hunger for safety, meaning, and love. And Buddhism offers a path to meet that hunger through wisdom, compassion, and practice rather than through certainty that you try to possess. Now let me tell it as a story, because this is the kind of thing that becomes real when it touches everyday life. Imagine a teenager named Sam. Sam is smart, quick with words, and secretly anxious. Sam loves debate videos, comment sections, and the feeling of intellectual victory. If you have ever felt that rush, you know what it is. Your brain lights up. You feel in control. You feel like you found solid ground. Sam has two friends who represent two worlds. One friend is Daniel. Daniel comes from a religious family. Daniel believes in God. He prays. He talks about faith. Sometimes he is gentle. Sometimes he gets defensive. He has a fear that doubt will make life collapse. The other friend is Maya. Maya is skeptical. She does not believe in God. She loves science. She likes clean explanation. She has a fear that religion will trap people in fantasy or control. Sam sits between them and gets pulled into their debates. At lunch they talk about God. After school they talk about God. Online Sam watches people destroy each other over God. And strangely, the more they talk, the less peaceful everyone becomes. One day Sam realizes something uncomfortable. Daniel is not calmer because he believes in God. Daniel is often stressed, judgmental, and insecure about whether he is doing faith correctly. Maya is not calmer because she does not believe in God. Maya is often angry, cynical, and restless, as if the universe owes her certainty and keeps refusing to pay. Sam notices the pattern and feels frustrated. If belief or disbelief is supposed to solve life, why do both sides look tense? Then something happens. Sam gets in trouble at school. Not a huge scandal, but enough to shake identity. A teacher accuses Sam of cheating. Sam did not cheat, but the situation is messy. Rumors spread. Friends whisper. Sam feels the stomach drop of social threat. The mind starts racing. What if I get labeled? What if people think I am a liar? What if my future gets ruined? What if no one trusts me? Sam goes home and tries to argue with the fear like it is an opponent. I did not cheat. I have proof. They will understand. I will fix this. But the body stays tense. The mind keeps spinning. Sam realizes logic is not calming the nervous system. The nervous system is responding to uncertainty and perceived danger. That night Sam cannot sleep and starts searching for comfort. Sam expects to land in religious reassurance or atheist reassurance. Instead, Sam lands on a calm talk about Buddhism and the God question. The title catches the eye. God versus no God, does it matter in Buddhism? Sam clicks. The speaker begins by saying something that surprises Sam because it does not sound like a side-choosing statement. It sounds like a mirror. Buddhism is not centered on a creator God as the starting point for liberation. Buddhism is centered on understanding suffering, its cause, its end, and the path leading to its end. Sam pauses. That feels different. It is not avoiding the question. It is changing the priority. The speaker explains that many people want the God question to function like a master key. If God exists, then meaning is guaranteed. If God does not exist, then meaning must be built. People use the question to decide whether they can relax. But the speaker says Buddhism begins by observing that even people with strong beliefs can suffer intensely, and people with no belief can also suffer intensely. So the deeper key must be something else. Sam feels a small shift. Then the speaker says something that lands sharply. If your mind is full of clinging and hatred, even the correct metaphysical answer will not save you from suffering. Sam feels that is a personal attack in the best way. Sam has been clinging to being right. The next day Sam meets with a counselor at school. The counselor suggests Sam focus on what can be controlled. Tell the truth. Gather facts. Speak calmly. Do not feed rumors. And take care of the mind. Because panic will make everything worse. Sam asks what taking care of the mind means. The counselor says you cannot think your way out of anxiety if your nervous system is overloaded. You need practices that calm the body and widen attention. Sam remembers the Buddhist talk and feels curious again. That evening Sam watches more carefully and hears a deeper explanation. Buddhism does not need a creator God to ground ethics and compassion. It grounds ethics in cause and effect. Actions create consequences in the mind and in relationships. Harm creates suffering. Kindness reduces suffering. Greed tightens the heart. Generosity opens it. Hatred burns the one who holds it. Compassion cools the mind. This is karma explained in a practical way. Not as a supernatural scoreboard, but as the way patterns build. Sam starts noticing this immediately. When Sam spends an hour arguing online, Sam feels agitated and bitter. When Sam helps a sibling with homework, Sam feels calmer. When Sam rehearses revenge fantasies against the teacher, Sam feels tense. When Sam breathes and chooses to speak respectfully, Sam feels steadier. Sam realizes something. The mind is training itself all day. Then the talk addresses the God question directly in a way Sam did not expect. It says Buddhism includes many beings in its traditional worldview, including devas, but these beings are not creators of the universe and are not ultimate saviors. They are still within impermanence. They are still within cause and effect. They are still not the final refuge. The final refuge is awakening, the ending of ignorance and clinging. Sam is not sure what to do with devas. Sam is modern and skeptical, but the practical point lands. Even if there are powerful beings, they do not replace the need to train your mind. No one can meditate for you. No one can purify your intentions for you. No one can undo your habits without your participation. That makes Sam both uncomfortable and empowered, because it means Sam cannot outsource peace. Now Sam brings the talk into the real conflict with Daniel and Maya. At lunch Daniel says, Buddhism is basically atheism. Right. They do not believe in God. Maya smirks and says, exactly. Buddhism is rational. No God needed. Sam surprises both of them by saying, it is not that simple. They both stare. Sam says Buddhism seems less interested in proving God or no God and more interested in ending suffering through practice. It is like asking whether the hospital believes in God. The hospital cares whether the medicine works. Buddhism cares whether the mind becomes free. Daniel looks offended. Maya looks amused. Daniel says, but God matters. Without God, what is the foundation? Sam says, maybe the foundation is whether you cause suffering or reduce it. Maybe the test is what kind of person you become. Maya says, that is just morality. Sam says, it is more than morality. It is training the mind so you are less controlled by fear and anger. Daniel asks, so Buddhism does not care if God exists? Sam says, I think it cares less about winning that question and more about the suffering that makes us ask it the way we ask it. This is a turning point. Sam is starting to see that many arguments are fueled by insecurity. Daniel wants God to exist because it feels like safety. Maya wants God to not exist because it feels like freedom. Both are emotional needs looking for an intellectual badge. Sam realizes Sam has been doing the same thing. Sam has been using debate to feel safe. Now let us deepen this, because the Buddhist approach can sound cold if you misunderstand it. Buddhism does not dismiss the human longing for meaning. It just refuses to satisfy that longing with cheap certainty. It invites you to look at what meaning feels like in the body and mind. Meaning often feels like connection, compassion, purpose, presence. Meaningless often feels like isolation, numbness, cynicism, constant craving. So Buddhism asks, what actions and mental states lead to connection and presence? And what actions and mental states lead to isolation and craving? That is the core. If God exists, Buddhism would still say, do not cling to ideas. Do not hate. Do not harm. Train attention. Cultivate compassion. See impermanence. Awaken. If God does not exist, Buddhism would still say, do not cling to ideas. Do not hate. Do not harm. Train attention. Cultivate compassion. See impermanence. So the path remains. This is why many Buddhists can coexist with many metaphysical beliefs, as long as those beliefs support ethical living and do not become fuel for hatred or delusion. Now Sam starts practicing something small. When the mind spirals about the cheating accusation, Sam does not only rehearse arguments. Sam practices breathing. Sam sits, feels the body, notices the fear in the chest, notices the thoughts that say you will be ruined, and instead of believing them, labels them as thoughts. Sam returns to breath. Sam repeats. At first it feels pointless. Then it works a little. The fear becomes less sticky. The mind becomes less frantic. Sam realizes this is the real Buddhist gift. You do not need to settle the entire universe to calm the mind. You need to train the mind to stop clinging to worst-case fantasies. A week later, the school situation clears up. The teacher realizes there was a misunderstanding. Sam is relieved. But the bigger lesson remains. Sam saw how quickly the mind turns uncertainty into suffering. Sam also sees something else. If the teacher had not corrected it, Sam would still need a way to live with uncertainty. So the practice is still valuable. Now Sam goes deeper into the Buddhist idea of refuge. In some Buddhist traditions, people speak of taking refuge in Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. That means refuge in awakening, the teachings, and the community of practice. It is not refuge in a creator God guaranteeing outcome. It is refuge in a path that changes how you relate to outcomes. This is subtle but powerful, because many people think spirituality is about getting the universe to give you what you want. Buddhism often says spirituality is about changing what you want and how you want it, so you stop suffering. Sam tests this in a real relationship. Sam has a crush. Sam wants control. Sam wants certainty. Does she like me? Will she reject me? What should I say? How do I get the outcome? Sam notices the same pattern. The mind wants to secure love by controlling the future. But love cannot be controlled that way. Control kills love. So Sam practices a different approach. Be honest. Be kind. Be respectful. Accept uncertainty. Do not cling to the outcome. That is a Buddhist approach in daily life. It does not eliminate nerves. It eliminates obsession. Now Daniel and Maya keep debating. Daniel says without God there is no ultimate justice. Maya says the universe does not owe justice. Sam listens and asks a different question. What does holding your position do to your heart? Daniel gets quiet. Maya gets quiet. Sam is not being smug. Sam is genuinely curious. Daniel admits he sometimes uses religion to feel superior. Maya admits she sometimes uses skepticism to feel superior. They both laugh uncomfortably because it is true. Sam realizes this is why the Buddhist approach matters. It reveals the ego in both camps. Ego can hide in belief. Ego can hide in disbelief. Ego can hide in anything. Buddhism is not saying belief is bad or disbelief is good. It is saying clinging is suffering. and ego clinging is one of the deepest. Now let us talk more clearly about what Buddhism says about God in a way that stays practical. Many Buddhist teachings do not posit a single creator deity as the origin of everything. Instead, they describe reality as arising through dependent origination, causes and conditions without a first simple creator explanation that ends questioning. This does not mean Buddhism claims there is absolutely no ultimate reality. Different schools have different language, but the key point is that liberation is not obtained by believing in a creator. It is obtained by insight and practice. When someone asks, "Does it matter?" Buddhism often answers, "It matters less than you think, and it matters differently than you think." If believing in God makes you more compassionate, more humble, more ethical, and less hateful, Buddhism would likely say that is wholesome. If disbelieving in God makes you more compassionate, more humble, more ethical, and less hateful, Buddhism would likely say that is also wholesome. If either belief makes you arrogant, cruel, or rigid, Buddhism would likely say you are feeding suffering. So the measure is the fruit. This is similar to the idea of skillful means. Use what reduces suffering and increases wisdom and compassion. Sam begins to notice the fruit measure in social media. People scream about God. People mock God. Both groups often look miserable. The fruit is bitterness. Sam starts choosing a different online diet. Less outrage, more practice, more silence. Sam also starts noticing a deeper layer. The God question often hides a longing to be loved unconditionally. Sam feels that longing. It is human. Buddhism responds by cultivating unconditional friendliness in the heart through practices like loving kindness, compassion, and equanimity. You train the heart to hold yourself and others with care. This is not dependent on a cosmic parent figure. It is trained like a skill. When Sam practices loving kindness, something changes. Sam feels less alone. The mind becomes softer. The God question becomes less urgent because the heart is less starving. This is important. A starving heart turns metaphysics into a hunger fight. A nourished heart can hold mystery calmly. Now let me bring this to you directly. If you are someone who believes in God, Buddhism is not asking you to throw your belief away as a condition to practice. It is asking you to investigate your mind. Are you using belief to become kinder or to become superior? Are you using belief to love or to judge? Are you using belief to face fear or to hide from it? If you are someone who does not believe in God, Buddhism is not asking you to adopt belief as a condition to become wise. It is asking you the same question. Are you using disbelief to become kinder or to become superior? Are you using disbelief to be honest or to attack? Are you using disbelief to face fear or to hide from it? Because the ego is clever. It will use any label to protect itself. Buddhism keeps returning you to practice. Do you see clearly? Do you let go? Do you cultivate compassion? Do you reduce harm? Do you train attention? Now let us close the story with something that creates real resonance. Months later, Sam looks back and realizes the cheating accusation was a teacher. Not because the accusation was good, but because it forced Sam to face uncertainty. It forced Sam to see how quickly the mind clings to reputation and control. It forced Sam to practice. Sam now has a new way to approach the God debate. Instead of starting with, "Who is right?" Sam starts with, "What reduces suffering?" Instead of starting with, "Prove it," Sam starts with, "Observe the mind." Instead of starting with, "I must win," Sam starts with, "I must not become cruel." This is a spiritual maturity that many people never reach because they get addicted to the identity war. Sam still talks with Daniel and Maya, but the tone changes. The conversations become less like combat and more like inquiry. Daniel becomes a little softer. He realizes faith without compassion is hollow. Maya becomes a little softer. She realizes skepticism without humility is hollow. And Sam becomes calmer. Because Sam stopped using ideas as armor and started using practice as refuge. That is the answer to "Does it matter?" It matters if the question becomes an excuse for hatred. It matters if the question becomes a tool for humility. It matters if the question becomes a distraction from the inner work. It matters if the question becomes a doorway into wisdom and compassion. And Buddhism keeps pointing you back to the same place: your mind, your actions, your heart, your practice. Now I want to invite you to share your perspective in the comments. When you think about God, what feeling comes first? Comfort, fear, anger, hope, curiosity. And have you ever noticed the way you argue about the topic affects your peace more than the topic itself? If you want more long-form episodes like this, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and join as a member if you want to support deeper content. Thank you for being here. Until next time, whether you say God or no God, keep your mind honest, keep your heart kind, and keep practicing the path that turns fear into wisdom and wisdom into compassion.